Hey everyone, it's Ryan Howe here on Small Business News. Excited to be here today. This is April 19th, 2024. Uh, great, great times here in Western Michigan. Got sunshine out. It's beautiful out here, and today's one of those days a little bit different than I typically do on the program. Here is I'm going to be walking you through the process of how I research for my clients. Today's today's research day for me, and I've had a lot of my clients asking about pricing models, in particular with their, with inflation where it's at. It's just a pain right now trying to figure out what in the heck am I gonna. I've got a new process, or am I pricing this item correctly? How do I go about figuring that out? And one of the things that people use, and again, when you go out to a third party vendor, is there are different pricing models, right? And the way that they measure those and go about it, which I absolutely recommend. If you can, it's usually best to go and find a professional in this. However, for my clients, one of the things I do is always make sure that I can give them some talking points, like an education piece about what it is they should be looking for whenever they're talking with those third party folks. So with that, again, just for those of you who don't know, again, Ryan Howe with some of Business Guides. Learn more about what I do. I work with small to medium-sized businesses to grow their businesses faster than ever thought possible. You can come check it out, someofbizguys.com. Some of the businesses that I work with here in Western Michigan and also in Maine, I do travel, so I'm not landlocked to a particular region. I will get on a plane for the right customers. I'm very picky about who I work with because I do want to have time to be able to do research like we're going to be doing today. You can learn more about how I help folks out here again here on on someofbizguys.com. Sorry. All right. Allergies are kicking today. So with that, let's get into this where I'm at here. And this is what I'm researching with my client right now. Is going to be the Van Westendorp's Price Sensitivity Meter. Something that I researched years ago, back, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, when I was first evaluating pricing points for a company I worked with. And I wanted to come with kind of some different ways to be able to look at that and be able to ask questions and learn a little bit more about where the sensitivities were within our companies. This is one that I used. So let's and this is what I do with my clients. I just come in and we're going to do research today. So buckle up. Let's go. So the price sensitivity meter is a market technique for determining consumer price preferences. It was introduced by Dutch economist Peter Van Westendorp. The technique has been used by a wide variety of researchers in the market research industry. The PSM approach has been a staple technique for addressing price issues for the past 20 years. I mean, it's been around since 76 is when the paper came out. Takes a few years to get adopted. I mean, we're probably closer to 30 or 40 at this point, but it historically has been promoted by many professional market research associations in their training and professional development programs. The PSM approach continues to be used widely throughout the market research industry, and descriptions can be easily found in many market research websites. 100%. It is the base level, and when we get into this, you'll see. But from what I have on here, I just really, I think this is the starter that I'm going to be looking to put in front of as far as notes for my clients to help them understand these things. All right, the assumption underlying PSM, which is again the price sensitivity meter, that's the name of this, the Van Westendorp process here, is that respondents are capable of envisioning a pricing landscape and that price is an intrinsic measure of value or utility. And as a reminder for utility, for all those out there, utility is simply just what you as an individual, how you value your basically time, and which turns out into money for most of us, where you value that at on the spectrum. How much money are you willing, which is your time, right, and effort you put in to get your money, how much of that money, the time, are you willing to assign to the product or service, what you get, the value you get from that product or service. And we all have a little sliding scale where everything kind of lives at, right? And that's what utility means. It's different for everyone, but in a larger, law of big numbers, you're eventually going to get where utility in given areas and regions, varies. Okay. So participants in a PSM exercise are asked to identify price points at which they can infer particular value to the product or service under study. PSM claims to capture the extent to which a product has an inherent value denoted by price. Okay. So, excuse me real quick. Oh, wow, this is like one of my favorite mugs here. Check out this. I don't know if I can get this in here or not. This little goofy guy that's on here. Little woodland creatures. Got it from like a local store here in Ludington. Just love it. I got a group of them. All right. Anyways, back to focus here. So again, when I'm looking through for my clients, and this is what I'm doing, is I'm looking at, okay, this is the overall idea, what it is, and we're going to look at some of the charts here in a second. And then I talk to them. I like to have a base level of the assumptions as well, just a little note and a summary, so I can help them understand what this particular, whatever it is operating under, like their, its assumptions, its worldview, and then what it's supposed to be able to deliver. And so here's the approach. And this is what I like about this as well, why I really liked this piece, which was the traditional PSM approach asks 4 price-related questions, which are then evaluated as a series of 4 cumulative distributions, 1 distribution for each question. Distribution, it's a line on a chart, okay? The standard question formats can vary, but generally take the following form. And I love these questions. If you think about when we go through this, I have an example that I want to, and when I revisited this, immediately came to mind. So at what price would you consider the product to be so expensive that you would not consider buying it? All right, it's just too expensive. This is out. I am not about to part with my cash on this for that. Nope. At what price would you consider the product to be priced so low that you would feel the quality wouldn't be very good? At what price would you consider the product starting to get expensive? Would you consider the product starting to get expensive so that it is not out of the question, but you would have to give some thought to buying it? High expense, high side. At what price would you consider the product to be a bargain, a great buy for the money? Cheap, good value. What I want you to do is we're going to look at this through the lens of buying a used car. Okay, buying a vehicle. But, I think what I want to do is let's go with the used vehicle price, right? I think that is really, we want to be able, because we're all used car shopping. Most of us, if you've never been used car shopping, congratulations, because the rest of us, we're all trying to navigate where that's at. There's, basically everything's stacked against us. But this is how we as consumers, as we go into a used car dealership, right, we're evaluating this stuff in real time. At what price would you consider the product to be so expensive you not consider buying it? When you go on to a lot, all right, you have, hey, this is as much as I'm willing to spend. Now, what's interesting is that it's for many individuals that aren't cash buyers. Before I turned into a cash buyer and saving up for my vehicles, what my high point was, what is my monthly payment I can afford, right? So we got the high end, right? And then at what price point would you consider the product to be priced so low that you would feel the quality wouldn't be very good? I'm not buying a $500 car. I'm in my mid 40s. I'm not buying when I was a teenager. Yeah, I just needed something to go basically to get around, to go to the parties. Like that was it. I was looking for transportation. Now, I'm not going to, that'd be too low because I'm just worried like this thing's going to break in 2 weeks. I don't want to put my $500 there. The next question, at what price would you consider the product starting to get expensive so it is not out of the question, but you have to give some thought into buying it, right? And that is what the used car dealership, the dealers, those salesmen on the lot, salespeople on the lot, they are doing. They're hitting the top end of what they feel they know is the spectrum, right? They're trying to hit the top end of that to try to convince you, say, yeah, I know you came in here with, you didn't want to go over, 450, 750, whatever your number is for your monthly payment. But man, you see what you get with this by going up to 775. We can make it work for you. We can figure it out. They're always going to be pushing that piece there, right? And then at what price would you consider the product to be a bargain, a great buy for the money? That's what we're looking for, that diamond in the rough, that, man, you know what? This is a really low price for this because I have value for whatever on this, right? And that's what we're looking at. So think about it from used car price, basically used car sales, from buying those. And that will help you better identify where you're, the way to use these questions. But like for right now, I have a bakery that I'm working with to and they've got some new products coming out. And we were just chatting the other day and about, where the price point should be at. And I was flashing, I'm like, man, we probably want to make sure that we have some information available and some questions to be able to survey folks when we're coming in during the testing phase. Because this is what I used in other times in other industries to be able to identify. But I said, it's been a minute since I've been here, so this is what I do in my research. I'm like, no, before I speak, I'm going to go back and get educated, make my notes, and make it specific for the clients I'm working with. Okay? So let's take a look at, again, they've got as an example here, they've got a simple little, website thing to be able to ask the questions. You can use a Google form, same thing, to do that, or just have it written out on a piece of paper and just collect them. Recommend the Google form, though, because it'll automatically jump it into a spreadsheet for you. That's what you want to have. You don't want to be touching stuff twice, okay? More than you have to. So here's what's done. The cumulative frequencies are plotted, and then so everything's kind of plotted, right, where the stuff is landing at. Basically the percentage where they're at, and then the PSM advocates claim interpretive qualities exist for any intersecting of the cumulative. So anytime a line, basically, anytime the lines cross. Okay? Anytime lines are crossing, something can be inferred at that point. We're going to look at that in a second. Note the standard method requires that 2 of the 4 cumulative frequencies must be inverted in order to have the possibility of 4 intersecting points. Conventional practice inverts the cumulative frequencies for 2 cheap and cheap good value. And you'll see that here. They're typically, for you guys, it's going this direction. It's going to be going down from basically your upper left hand down, and then the rest of the stuff is from the lower right hand up, okay? Or lower left hand up. Anyways, we'll see on the chart here in a minute. The general explanation of intersecting cumulative frequency varies. Again, a common description of the intersections is that the crossing of too cheap and too expensive can be the lower bound of an acceptable price range. And we'll take a look at that. Some describe this as the point of marginal cheapness. I love that phrase. That's great. Or PMC. Similarly, an intersection of too expensive and cheap lines can be viewed as the upper bound of an acceptable price range. An alternative description is the point of marginal expensiveness, or PME. Intersections where there's generally more agreement. So, right. So this is, and we're going to talk about, this is going to be basically kind of your range, and then we get into the next spots. General agreement is the point at which the expensive crosses the cheap line. This is described as the indifference point, or the IPP. The IPP refers to the price at which an equal number of respondents rate the price as either being cheap or expensive. Finally, the intersection of the too cheap and too expensive lines represent the optimal price point. This is the point at which an equal number of respondents describe the price as exceeding their upper or lower limits. Optimal in this sense refers to the fact that there is an equal trade-off in extremes of sensitivities to the price at both ends of the price spectrum. Long story short, that's the one where you get people, they're not thinking it's too cheap and they're not thinking it's too expensive, and now they're just deciding on the value that it's delivering. That's what that means. So we're going to see that here where they come together. So again, just say it one more time. It's optimal in the sense that there is an equal trade-off in extreme sensibilities to the price at both ends of the price spectrum. So again, it's not too cheap for it's not too cheap for the people that have more money, and it's not too expensive for the people who have the price sensitivity there. So it is a measurement purely on the value you're delivering at that price point, which is, when you are in sales, that is the sweet spot that you want to be in. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Then we're going to go back to some of the other stuff. Because again, this is simply just a price over. This isn't a volume. This isn't volume weighted at all. Like, i.e., this price for this many. It's just meant to be for this product or service. Okay. All right. So as we were talking, all right, you've got your stuff that's coming down here. This is your too cheap, not expensive lines. All right. And these are inverted. And then you have your other aspects here, which is the too expensive, and not cheap. And you should see that spread. And everywhere that you see these little crosses are happening. Right? Anytime there's an intersection. No, that wasn't that. I'm trying to remember what that was from Schoolhouse Rocks. If you remember what that was from Schoolhouse Rocks, what I was just humming, let me know. So anyways, what they're saying. So let's go through, excuse me real quick. All right, the 2 points here. Let's start here on this one where we got the intersection of too cheap and not cheap. All right, so these are the lower, basically the lower boundaries that they have, which is the acceptable price range. Right, so I've got too cheap and not cheap. So that's our lower end of that price range. And these are up for debate. And then you get on this other side, which is the not expensive and too expensive, right? Not expensive, too expensive. Gives you your upper, basically the upper range. So in this case, the acceptable price range in using this model is between $500 and $1,200 for whatever widget, service, whatever we're getting here, okay? The next piece that you have here is going to be in this area here, which is where we talked about the cheap and expensive, right? These are the basically middle of the road. These are your average or your median decision points here that you get in. This is the indifference price point. It just is what it is. And people are there. And then lastly, you get into this one, which is the too cheap and the too expensive. All right. Now this, as I was telling you, this means it's at the right at that boundary for too cheap. You're just getting there like, this could be too cheap. And then you're at the boundary for, it could be too expensive for those differing populations. So at this point, all you're looking for, you're right on that cusp, right? That boundary where that exists. Now you are only talking about the value you're providing for that service. So you're selling up how that value is going to be driving there. So this is where we want to live at here. Okay, so the next spot we get into, and again, this is the optimal price point. Like we were talking, I'm going to go back to this. So again, the optimal price, as I mentioned, for as a fact, there is an equal trade-off in extreme sensitivities to the price at both ends of the price spectrum. $700 a person. So this is where when I'm working with my clients, we're going to take in this, we're going to figure out, okay, where's this land? And this is your starting point. And now you're just building out the value proposition from it. All right. Excuse me. All right. Again, if you're liking what you're seeing so far, please subscribe. I'm here live. Make sure if you subscribe, also hit the notification bell. I do go live, so I can hop on here and just answer any questions in the chat that may pop up as well. Be sure to share this as well with anybody you may think this may be useful for. This stuff I work with my clients. Learn more what I do at summitbusinessguides.com. All right. So with this, while Van Westendorp himself did not attempt to solve the demand estimation problem, only pricing, the three extensions of this technique are, and I've got those written down here, are the Newton-Miller-Smith different techniques, Martin-Raymer interpolation, and then the Roll-Achtenberg, which I'm going to go research later, were subsequently developed to address the problem and estimate demand. Again, that dealing with your volume associated. So there's price needs for a lot of things also requires a volume, the number you're getting for it to be able to extrapolate some data. So just keep that in mind. Now, what I liked about this one here was the Newton-Miller-Smith assumed no purchases on the too expensive or too cheap curves. Adding instead two further questions about the probability of purchase at the expensive and cheap prices, e.g., at this price, how likely are you to purchase the product in the next 6 months? Scale of 1 to 5. And then at this price, how likely are you to purchase the product in the next, right, the cheap price? Which is nice. It's going to give you those upper, more likely, not only is it cheap, do you think it'll actually encourage you to purchase? And same thing at the high price, do you think this is enough where it's at? Will you be willing to find a trade-off and find a value in this to then make that purchase? So I thought that was pretty interesting. What you do with this, combining the price responses with the probability responses, allows drawing a revenue curve to estimate the price point delivering maximum revenue. Again, that's all the theory that you have here. So yeah, that is an example of some of the research that I do for my clients. I take a limited number of clients for this reason. So I have time to spend researching the questions that they have. When I hear multiple clients here, talking about the same thing in different ways, talking around the subject, I immediately go into research mode And so I can put together a summary paper and send it out to them and say, hey, take a look at this. This may be something that I want to talk with you about to help us figure out what this price point should be. Okay. So with this, yeah, just as a reminder, we went through here. It was great. The Van Westendorp Price Sensitivity Meter, just one of a few different ways that you can go about. And like some of the other examples they have are, elasticity, value-based pricing, conjoint analysis. I have those already, but or one in there that I didn't that I need to go back and research, which is the Granger method. It's another way to, again, for identifying things. So with that, if you're interested in, again, learn more about what I do, go to summitbusinessguys.com. You can, again, book a call if you want to, have a deeper conversation. See some of the clients that I work with. It's all over the spectrum. I got a credit union, work with this landscape. I've got manufacturing, got a law firm in Maine that I work with. They're great. And then a adult foster care home. It's just some of the examples of the folks that I work with. You can learn about what I work with as far as the Pinnacle business operating system I use with my clients. That's how we set up a custom-made business operating system for them to run their companies. Yeah, just learn more about what I do there. And then also, it's been a great little bit here on YouTube. Just thought I'd share this. I'm relatively new to the YouTube space as far as trying to build out a channel for this. And, this isn't I've got 24 new subscribers in the last month or so. But what's great about it is I also do gardening stuff on here too. So in the afternoons, if you're interested in gardening, check me out there as well. I do live on YouTube Shorts, so I've got the vertical. So anyways, it's been great having a conversation with you today. I appreciate your time you spent with me. Again, be sure to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and that way basically every day during the week when I go live on Small Business News, you can jump on here and we can have a conversation. I think it'll be great. So with that,